another creeps mine. Let's find a brand new reason why we can't trust the men in our lives. These cases are cold open. The leads are cold open. These cases are cold open. The leads are cold open. I'm your host, Madison Max, and I'm here to follow the facts. The bad guys have no room to relax, because I'm here to trail their tracks. Each week I find a tale to tell, to show the worst of this world laid bare, with hopes to uncover clues out there and show that someone still cares. These crimes are cold open. The bodies are cold open. These crimes are cold open. The bodies are cold open. I'm your co-host, Beth, and I'm a little obsessed with death. When Maddie tells me all about these crimes, there's nothing I can do to get it off my mind. I love it, but it scares me. Or maybe I love it because it scares me. Oh well, at least I'm pretty sure I'm not a psychopath. These episodes are cold open. This podcast is cold open. These episodes are cold open. This podcast is cold open. Hello and welcome to Cold Open, the true crime podcast where we dive deep into unsolved crimes that deserve more attention. I'm your host, Madison Max.
And I'm your co-host, Beth.
What drives a person to commit murder, from crimes of opportunity and hot-headed passion to meticulously planned and methodical murders? The motivation for each is unique. What do you think incites the desire to commit murder, Beth?
Wow, Maddie, there's like a bajillion reasons. There's as many reasons as there are people. I guess some common ones would be money, jealousy, revenge. How about the need to escape some legal binding? Or life insurance payouts? No, wait, that's just money again. Getting way too deep in an MLM scheme? I mean, how else do you get out of that one, am I right? How about just being female in a male-dominated world? I swear, if I get cackled one more time. Oh, what about opportunity? How easy it is to push someone off a cliff or into moving traffic? You ever think about that? No. Okay, just me then. I know, getting your Starbucks order, and they've obviously only put 3 pumps of vanilla in when you definitely ordered 5, and they spelled your name wrong, even though it's only 4 letters long. I swear, I am so freaking clear with my order, and they never get it right. It just makes me want to reach over the counter and strangle the stupid idiots who don't know the goddamn letters.
I mean, who hasn't felt that one before? Well, what if I told you I found a story that contains not all, but most of those motives?
Is there an illiterate Starbucks barista in the story?
Not this time, but money, jealousy, revenge, legal bindings, MLM schemes, and opportunity are all in there.
Sounds complicated.
This week on Cold Open, we dive into part 1 of a special 2-part series that looks into the story of a wealthy young couple that seemed to have it all. That is until one frightfully fatal excursion sent it all down the drain.
Or at least down the river.
Oh, touche.
Man, I always thought if I were rich, I'd have nothing to worry about. I'd just be sipping pina coladas on some yacht down in the Caribbean, taking cute selfies for the gram, while beautiful, muscular men fed me food like I'm the freaking Queen of Sheba. That would be the life.
As long as no one murders you. You might think having it all is such an easy time, but being rich don't mean no worries on your mind. To start it off, people hate you because of what you possess. What you do with what you have
and show up for you too. Buy them drinks. Now all your friends are super dinks. They want you for you or what you can provide. You never really know what they feel deep inside. Kidnapping and ransoms don't make most people worry, but there's a reason we don't step foot in Surrey. Hang it up, does it pay? All your problems. Whatever. People only want me for my money. Why, blah, blah, blah. On with the story, Madagascar. This week we will be looking at Taylor Bass, the young heiress to the Bass Glass fortune who disappeared while on her honeymoon in the Amazon basin. Bass Glass, like the Canadian glass empire? I remember when we went to the 7-Eleven every week for my slushie and your tabloid magazine, there'd always be some scandal about the founder, Dennis Bass. I mean, he definitely was a scumbag. He also dictated almost every detail of Taylor's life, so she basically had no opportunity to form her own identity. How do we know that? I mean, through our research, we can see what prestigious schools she went to and what fancy rewards she got, but how can we know something so personal? I mean, this is something that any other true crime podcast wouldn't be able to give to its audiences, but on Cold Open, we always go the extra mile. I love being extra. And we found a classmate who gave some insight. We will refer to him as Jay, as he prefers to remain anonymous. Hello, Jay. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Hey, man, whatever we can do to get the story out there.
So, tell us, what was life like at Ombre Academy?
Ombre was a decent private school. Yeah, they focused more on academics more than anything else.
Ah, yes, you were in the advanced placement program with Taylor. Yes.
That's right. There were only about 15 kids in the AP program. Taylor was smart, but she usually kept to herself outside of class. I guess it's hard to make friends when you start in senior year. The only other girl I ever saw her with was another AP girl named Briahnna. Yeah, rumor has it that they started hanging out because she had one of those home business things.
Oh, what kind of home business thing was that? Was she an entrepreneur?
I think she thought so, but no, it was just one of those things where girls went to each other's house to buy overpriced things.
Oh, like Tupperware?
It was more like makeup or skincare, Scary K, Mary J, I don't really know. Anyways, the girls were super crazy into it for a while in high school, and I guess Taylor, having a lot of money, bought a lot of it. Good business for Briahnna.
Sounds like a mutually beneficial relationship.
I guess so, but I also thought Briahnna was an apex predator. Yeah, she was a bit of a bitch. Yeah, she liked to use the people around her, and when she no longer had use for them, she discarded them like trash. And I guess Taylor, having no friends and a lot of money, she took advantage of that.
Oh, the poor babies. Was Dennis Bass fairly involved with Taylor's life? We tried reaching out to some Bass Glass employees and household staff, but they declined to comment.
Well, she wasn't really allowed to date, or she didn't party much. Whenever anybody tried to include her, she would always just say her dad wanted her to focus on her future.
I bet the only fun thing she was allowed to do had to still be related, like the science of glass blowing. From what you know of Taylor, would you say it's more likely she ran away or suffered a fatal fate?
Hard to say. I don't really know what would make her a target per se, but also like why run away from a life like that with her dad no longer around?
We reached out to some other classmates, but no one had anything more to offer. That's so sad. I can't imagine going through that high school to uni transition without you as my best friend. Yeah. Anyway, so in 2010, Taylor was finishing up her last year of her MBA, and Dennis was a sprightly 89-year-old who had just been diagnosed with lung cancer.
He could have been her great-grandpa.
Ugh, rich old men, you know. Anyway, around that time, he also hired a bright business boy as chief financial officer, Lance Cabral.
As I behold the many faces in front of me here today, I can't help but reflect on how far we've come and how far we've yet to go. To all of our professors and mentors, thank you for pushing us to be the best we can be and for all of your guidance. To our friends and family, thank you for all of your support, both in spirit and financially. And finally, to the Ivy HBA class of 2007. We did it!
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard was a valedictorian speech from Lance Cabral, the beautiful, charming, Brazilian-born, orphaned at free, optically pleasing, and overcoming all odds Lance Cabral. Giving his valedictorian speech as he got his honors business administration from the University of Western Ontario.
I mean, he definitely was smart. Lance fast-tracked his education, so recruiters at Fast Class hired him before he even graduated. By all appearances, it looked like Lance was being groomed to take Dennis's place, because once again, a dick and balls beats blood if it has breasts.
Stupid patriarchy. When will they learn that a woman's place is wherever the hell she wants to be?
But the other possibility is that Lance was just being groomed for his darling daughter.
Ooh la la.
Lance and Taylor were introduced at a company event, and Lance was immediately smitten.
Is this even a true crime story? So far, this just sounds like a fairy tale. La 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 la.
Good point, Beth. But do you remember what our keep your cases warm #1 piece of advice is?
Anyone could be a murderer. Anyone you meet could be a murderer. They offer you some sweets, could be a murderer. Everyone you've met could be a murderer. A catfish on the internet could be a murderer.
You never really know somebody all the way. We all have secrets hidden deep inside. You only ever see what they want to portray. Here are some thoughts we must confide. Even my sweet old neighbor Jean,
Possible.
or the plumber that I need.
Murderer.
Not my new boyfriend named Steve.
Oh yeah, especially since you met on Tinder. Anyone could be a murderer. They say they just like feet, could be a murderer. Everyone you stand could be a murderer. Even Tom Holland could be a murderer. On Tuesday, I went out to get our coffees. Triple for me and black for Maddie Mayax. But even this excursion out to Timmy's had me worried and glancing over my back. There was a slow-moving white van.
Probable.
Too many nondescript white men.
Dad, wait, no, but that's not a
Lady, it's the middle of winter.
Wait, we don't want to go too overboard. There's a balance for sure that we need to restore. Intuition cannot be totally ignored, but not everyone you meet is feeling untoward. Okay, all together now.
Anyone you meet could be a murderer. That guy there on the street could be a murderer. Everyone you see could be a murderer. Even someone like me could be a murderer. Wow, Maddie, that's so true. Literally anyone could be a murderer.
Yes and no. I mean, you should always keep your heckles up and your wits about you, but you should never lose your head over it either. Figuratively speaking.
Yeah, anyone could literally Marie Antoinette me. So when did things turn sour for a fairy tale couple?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. See, Taylor and Lance were married ferociously fast on October 20th, 2010.
Oh, 10-20-2010 or 2010-2010. Fun whichever way you look at it. That's gotta be good mojo.
I mean, you think, but instead of basking in newly wedded bliss, they spent their first year and a half as a married couple caring for her ailing father.
What happened to Taylor's mom?
Well, here's the funny thing. See, while Taylor was studying abroad in China, her mother came to visit and she had some sort of epiphany. She decided to give up her frivolous, materialistic lifestyle and attempted to join a monastery in Tibet.
Like a Buddhist monastery? I thought they only accepted men.
They do. She's still living in Tibet as close to a monastery as she can get, wearing burgundy robes and shaving her head.
Wow. Talk about lifestyles of the rich and famous.
I mean, it gives the tabloids fodder.
And you like to read them.
Okay, let's not talk about that. Anyway, so when Dennis finally passes away, Taylor inherits everything, takes her rightful place as CEO, and lucky ball-bearing Lance becomes chief operating officer of the Basque-Glass Empire.
That's what you would call a dynamic duo.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's why I said it.
Anyway, so it takes another 2 years of modernizing the company before the not-so-newly-wedded couple are finally able to take their honeymoon. And it's here, Beth, where our story really begins.
How exciting. I want murder.
Beth, if you were the Basses, where would you want to go on your long-awaited honeymoon?
Hold up, the Basses? Don't you mean the Cabrals?
Lance took the Bass name after the two were married. Fewer questions if you carry the company name.
Ha! Taylor 2, patriarchy 0. Well, if I were in Taylor's position, I would definitely want the Royal Asante presidential suite at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. But that's not what they picked, is it?
Not exactly, but they do have wild animals in common. No, the Basses decided to take a 10-day luxury Amazon river cruise.
This place is incredible. Far different than anywhere else I've ever been. I never knew a place could make you feel so alone, like you could just disappear. This cruise is perfectly luxurious, and I'm sure Lance and I will enjoy ourselves immensely.
Oh no, not a cruise. It's so easy to fall or be pushed off a boat. Don't you remember episode 37, Overseas and Overboard, where we covered the case of Rebecca Corium, the Disney Cruise cast member who went missing in 2011?
Yep, it's been 10 years since she went missing, and the big mouse doesn't even know whether a crime was ever committed.
I guess it's not such a sweet life on deck, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So what happened to the Basses?
Well, according to Lance, he was awoken by a cacophony outside, and his wife was no longer in bed.
Was it a fight?
No, he went out to investigate and found a small crew gathered on the side of the ship, gesturing and pointing to what seemed like nothing.
That's the point, right? Something was missing?
Exactly, the emergency lifeboat was gone.
So then Taylor ran away. The supposed fairy tale relationship with all that money. There had to have been some rotten wound in the underbelly just waiting, festering, ready to devour them whole. Taylor sees her opportunity in an exotic jungle in a faraway country. The perfect way to start over.
I mean, that is one possibility. Another, which Lance initially insisted on, was that it was a kidnapping. Taylor sometimes posted on Instagram, maybe someone found her location and kidnapped her for ransom.
But no request for a ransom came, did it?
Nope, never. So then his theory was that it was a kidnapping gone wrong and Taylor had accidentally been killed in the process. They hid her body somewhere in the jungle, never to be found.
Sounds fishy to me. Bass fishy.
Speculators started to suspect the slippery spouse.
All right, not only is he the husband, which is the most obvious choice, he was also born in Brazil. Maybe he had contacts in the Amazon to help disappear his wife.
And to make matters worse, soon this sketchy spouse started making some salacious decisions.
What did he do?
He had a woman move in with him.
Wow, that bastard.
It's leaked that they had been dating during their university years. He wanted to commit, but she wasn't ready. Keen to live a couple more years as a wild woman.
Wow, a wild woman, eh?
I mean, stupidly smart, beguilingly beautiful, and awesomely athletic. She didn't want to settle down for a poor, albeit highly intelligent orphan at such a young age.
She needed to spend time with the other fish in the sea. Just not with Lance until he became a bass.
Actually, she set her sights on some real fish. After she graduated, she decided to get her PhD researching the bewitching behavior of piranhas.
Piranhas? Why piranhas?
I mean, we've all got our quirks.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Briahnna. Yes, that's right, Briahnna. please remember to say it correctly. I'm from Toronto, and piranhas are my life's passion. And I hope that after today, you will love piranhas as much as I do.
You can't be serious. Deadly. So what, Taylor dies and this Briahnna from Toronto, Briahnna moves in with her old beau?
I mean, apparently they never stopped talking to each other, which, according to leaked passages in Taylor's diary, bothered her immensely.
Disrespectful dick.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. With Taylor out of the picture and all that fast glass money in Lance's pocket, it looked like she went after the one that got away.
Disrespectful Moby Dick.
All right, shall we dig into the evidence?
Yes, please. I want all the gory details.
Gory? There wasn't even a body. Anyway, we'll get right into it after a quick message from one of our sponsors.
Wow, wow, shoot-dee-doo, shoot-dee-doo, wow. If you find you want to safe when you're alone, our coupon code is a great deal for securing your home. We have a discount you can use to make home break-ins old new, but not that kind of steal. Say bye, bye, Fergie. We're glad to see her go. Bye, bye, Fergie. We won't be missing you so. Bye, bye, Fergie. It's time to say goodbye.
And welcome back. Why don't we start with the timeline? Do you have the itinerary?
I do. Here you go.
Okay, let's see here. So, the 10-day luxury Amazon River cruise departed on September 21st from Iquitos, Peru, and was set to arrive in Manaus, Brazil on September 30th.
Yep, that is the itinerary of the boat that they boarded.
But they never got there, did they?
Well, Taylor sure didn't, assuming she's dead.
And assuming she's not dead, I'm assuming Manaus wasn't one of the places she'd want to visit.
Well, if she ran away, that is. She could have been kidnapped by some crazies or human trafficked, led to live a life of misery at the hands of sadistic men and their perverted fantasies.
Let's see if the timeline can shed some light on what happened. Taylor disappeared sometime between 11 p.m. the evening of the 25th and 5 a.m. of the 26th. According to Lance, they shared some tea in their cabin before he was reading his book, and then they went to sleep. And then he woke up just after 5 to the commotion outside.
You skipped the part where they were drinking hibiscus tea and he was reading a book on Gandhi.
That's not relevant, Beth.
But Master Max, if they were drinking, say, ayahuasca tea, would have been a very different evening. Or if he was reading a book on, say, Jack the Ripper, I think that says something.
Didn't you read a book on Jack the Ripper?
I've read all of them, and I go to the conferences when I can.
And what does that say about you then?
I'm not the one who had a lover disappear on me. It's different.
Anyway, something happened between those 6 hours. Either Taylor left the cabin voluntarily, and something happened to her outside, or Lance had something to do with it.
I wonder if they paid attention to their horoscopes.
I'm sorry, what?
Their horoscopes?
You looked up their horoscopes.
Well, yeah, when I was scrounging for evidence, I came across their horoscopes in the Globe and Mail from the day before Taylor disappeared.
How do you come across their horoscopes while scrounging for evidence?
Are you judging how I gather information? I thought you appreciated my attention to detail.
Oh, no. I wasn't judging. I was just surprised, though. I guess I shouldn't be. Go on.
I mean, I'll have you know, horoscopes are very important. Maybe you'd have a better handle on your life if you paid attention to yours.
I think I handle my life well enough.
But Maddie Max, it could be so much better. Remember that last date you went on with an Aries would be a good match. Remember how he showed up in jorts?
Okay, let's get back to the story. What were you saying about the Bass's helpful horoscope?
I'll just read you yours tomorrow. Okay, Taylor was a Taurus, and this is what Chris said. No doubt there is a rational explanation for everything that ever happens, but sometimes things happen that make you wonder if there's not more going on. Keep your mind open to new and strange possibilities over the next 24 hours. This makes me think she ran away. New and strange possibilities over the next 24 hours? Timeline definitely fits.
There's a lot of ways you could interpret that. Rational explanation makes you wonder there's not more going on. That could be about Lance wanting to murder her, or him having an affair, or some random person kidnapping and murdering her. Those could all be new and strange possibilities.
You don't understand how horoscopes work. You can't use your mind to connect with them. You have to use your soul. Your third eye chakra will guide you to the truth.
Oh boy.
I'll have you know, I align my intentions with my horoscope every single day. Just the other day, it told me to keep my eye out for abundance to find me, and guess what I came across going to the grocery store?
What?
A toonie. I pocketed that sucker like the universe wanted me to, and then guess what?
What?
My favorite chocolate bars were on sale. Coffee Crisp, 2 for a toonie, tax included, best day ever!
Your standards are so low.
Open your heart to the wonders of the universe, Beth.
Okay, Beth, please enlighten me about Lance's horoscope. I'm assuming you have both of them.
Yeah, I have yours too if you want it.
That's not relevant this many years later.
That's true. Okay. Lance said, drumroll please.
That does not deserve a drum roll.
Yes, it does. Domestic and work arrangements may change at a moment's notice today, but that's okay. You are adaptable enough to change with them and make it all seem effortless, which won't go unnoticed by people in positions of power. This makes me think he murdered her. Domestic and work arrangements may change. You are adaptable enough to make it all seem effortless. Definitely the murder with a suave cover-up. And then for Taylor, the rational explanation for everything that ever happened.
That doesn't make sense. You just said Taylor's points to her running away and Lance points to his murdering her. They both can't be accurate. That's just
You know, you don't understand how horoscopes work. See, when you have the context of the two together, their nuances can lead to a more accurate truth. And if the moon was waning or Mercury was in retrograde,
Oh my
then
goodness, did you print out the moon and star charts as well?
crap! I totally forgot to check where the stars were that night. Thanks, Maddie. I'll get right on that. I will make a note of that.
How about let's go to a more traditional line of evidence. What did you find?
Well, that was one of the problems with the case. Here, listen to this.
It has been 2 weeks since the disappearance of Taylor Bass, and authorities continue to be stumped. We have the lead detective on the case with us now to answer a few questions. Detective Rosales, do you have any current leads?
Nope.
And what would aid in your department's progress?
Evidence, the missing boat, a body, a fingerprint, a footprint, heck, any piece of fiber might come interesting at this point. We've searched up and down the river, dove deep into the jungle, brought out the dogs, Senior Bass even hired a private forensics crew to help find any sort of evidence. We've been searching day and night for anything out of place, but this is the Amazon. Anything could get swallowed up quite quickly out here, and if the pretty lady ran away, she covered her tracks well. The donut hit you.
And if she was kidnapped or worse?
Somebody has to confess.
Thank you. This is Jenna Dawson with CBC National News reporting live from
See, horoscopes are as good as evidence as anything in this case.
They found nothing?
Nope, not a thing. Nada. That's Spanish for nothing. The only things out of place were the missing woman and the missing boat.
Which means we need to dive into the motives. Who would want to terminate Taylor and why? Our first suspect is the obvious choice, Lance.
Bad Lance.
Why would Lance want to get Taylor out of the picture, and why choose an extremely expensive honeymoon to do it?
Well, just like the detective said, the Amazon disappears evidence pretty quick. Maybe Lance was up on his knowledge of the jungular ways and knew that if he could get Taylor overboard, all the evidence would go with her.
Okay, let's say that was a possibility. He wakes her up really early, let's say 3 a.m., convinces her that there's something really cool to see out on deck. No one is around. He puts her in the sleeper, throws her overboard unconscious so she'll die, and then he quietly lowers the lifeboat and cuts it off. Why would no one find the boat, though?
Well, if it was premeditated, maybe he drilled holes into the boat beforehand so it would sink. Maybe that's what he wanted to show her.
Okay, we've got a rough possibility of how, but the real question for Lance is why?
Well, maybe he didn't like having Taylor as a boss. I read that he did sign a prenup, so the only way he could get more of the company was through Taylor, with or without her. Maybe he thought without her was a better option. Lots of men don't like it when their female partners make more money than they do. If only we had a matriarchy, Taylor might still be alive.
Don't know she's not alive. Lance did stand to inherit the entire company in her will, though, didn't he?
You betcha.
Which means he went from making a 6-figure salary to owning a multi-million-dollar corporation with no one left to answer to.
Neither in work nor marriage, lucky bastard. You know something else about Lance that was pretty sus? The 911 call.
How so?
Let's listen.
911, do you need police, fire, or ambulance?
Hi, yeah, I'm not sure. I can't find my wife.
You say your wife is missing, sir?
Yeah, I went to bed and she was there, and then I woke up and she's no longer there. I mean, there's not really a lot of places she can go around here.
Can I get your location, please, sir?
Yeah, somewhere in the Amazon. I think we're in Peru still, though we may have crossed into Brazil at this point. I'm on a cruise ship, like a Amazon river cruise. You ever been on one of those?
Peru, Brazil, sir, is this some kind of joke?
No, I really am on an Amazon river cruise. Please, could you help me?
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to hang up and contact the local authorities. I don't know how you reached me. I'm in Florida, USA, not Peru. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do for you, so you're just going to have to hang up.
No, please don't go. I'm desperate. Hardly anybody speaks any English here. Please, I need your help.
Well, have you been able to alert anyone there about your wife's disappearance? They could connect you with the local emergency line.
Yeah, the crew was talking about a missing boat earlier. I told them my wife was missing.
Another boat?
Yeah, like a life rescue boat kind of thing. They accused my wife of stealing it.
Do you think that could be a possibility, sir?
What? No, why would she? She's got all the. We're on her. I mean, maybe, I guess, I don't know. All I know is that she's not around here and there's not a lot of places she can go. And so I just, you know what? I don't know why I called 911. Sorry to waste your time.
I have goosebumps. Look at my goosebumps.
I
really did it.
What makes you say that?
Well, he doesn't sound upset or distraught, just confused.
I mean, we never really know how we're going to react in an emergency situation. Maybe that's what panic sounds like for Lance.
No way, that's guilt. I can feel it.
I don't know, it reminds me of his last conference. I just can't make heads or tails of his motives.
What do you mean?
Well, something about it seems so sweet and genuine. Here, why don't we have a listen?
How much money did you get from Taylor's death?
Thank you all for joining me today. This will be the last time you hear what I have to say. It's been 6 months since my wife disappeared, but you only care about how I appear. And though I survive the only way I know how, my actions only seem to cause you doubt. From this moment on, I'll keep my grief to myself. But that won't mean her case is on the shelf. I'll be your scapegoat. You can put all the blame on me. I'll be who you hate most, if that's what it takes for you to see. Whether answers come or theories go, I will never release my own hope. I'll be your scapegoat, if that's what you need me to be. Taylor, if you hear this, know that I still care for you. I will care for our business, that's what you'd want me to do. I hope you can come back to me some way and somehow. I will always hope you found your peace after all we've been through now. I'll be your scapegoat, if that's all you're wanting of me. Hurry, get your last quote. Cater to those who want to read. And as time goes on and seasons go, my aching for you will ebb and flow. I'll be your scapegoat. I'll be your scapegoat to set you free.
So what do you think? Guilty or good guy?
Good guys can be murderers too.
They can't be good if they're going around murdering people.
Humans are complex beings. I still don't understand how he didn't get arrested.
Anyway, after the local authorities were notified of the disappearance, Lance immediately left the cruise to aid in the search. He posted ads all over the Americas asking for any evidence of Taylor alive or otherwise.
Or otherwise, like he thinks she's already dead then?
I think he was open to the possibility.
Because she fell overboard and was eaten by crocodiles? Or because she got in with human traffickers and they didn't want her for the sex trade but for her organs? Or because he did it?
There aren't any crocodiles in the Amazon, just caimans. But do you know what other creepy creature the Amazon does have?
Kidnappers.
No. Yeah. No. Piranhas.
Piranhas. I think I know where you're going with this. Piranhas could have consumed her body and all the evidence. That's why there was none. There was nothing of her left.
We'll get back onto that. What I was actually going for was that a certain freewheeling flame from Lance's university years started helping out with the case.
Briahnna, the piranha expert from Tirana.
The one and only. Not just a prime piranha professional, she also happened to get a minor in Spanish. So not only was she helping Lance go over the theory of Taylor being eaten by piranhas, she was also helping him translate the responses to his ads.
Were there a lot of responses?
Oh, thousands. With all the interest in true crime these days, everybody was a sofa sleuth with their own theories on what happened to Taylor.
So what did Briahnna have to say about this piranha theory?
It is highly unlikely that piranhas killed Taylor. The piranha that is most associated with man-eating myths is the red-bellied piranha, and while it does live in that region, it rarely bites, and when it does, those bites are rarely fatal.
Rarely doesn't mean never.
In my research, I did find that a 6-year-old was killed in a piranha attack after her grandmother's boat capsized in 2015. Although her death was due to her injuries and her body was still intact.
Did you find that on piranhaguide.com?
Actually, yes. How did you know that?
When I was researching Briahnna, I found out that she regularly contributes to the site. She wrote some article called Can Piranhas Be Trained? I didn't read that one, but I read the same one as you. Twinsies!
Interesting.
Aww.
But Briahnna did say that Taylor could not have been eaten alive by piranhas.
So then, if she was dead when she hit the water, could the piranhas have eaten her then?
Yes and no. If there was enough of them and they were hungry enough, they could have eaten her down to the bone, but they couldn't have eaten the bones.
This piranha theory doesn't seem to hold much water.
Yeah, apparently not. But all the help that Briahnna was providing for the case, she soon moved into the Bath bungalow.
Having your old lover move in right after your wife goes missing does not help make you look innocent.
I mean, they insisted they were staying in separate rooms, but rumors started running wild. And now a message from one of our sponsors.
Yeah. If you like boxers, briefs, panties, or thongs, to this advertising song. Is your regular Ginch kinda lame? Then maybe you should get some pennies with your name. Do you like my panties?
Give my pennies!
Do you need more panties?
Give my pennies!
You think your mama's panties?
Give my pennies!
So what you gonna do?
Give my pennies!
Now if you get murdered in the back of a car, get underwear that can tell people who you are, and if your knees get feeling beyond recognition, your fingerprints gone, your body's a cake, then you only got one solution. Do you like that?
Okay, that's enough. What was that?
It was our ad for my panties. They wanted it to be thematric.
Thematic.
Yeah.
We'll debrief later. Okay, back to our story. For Bass class, there was no time to be wasted on mourning, and an interim CEO needed to be appointed while Taylor was missing. Lance was the next in line of succession.
No.
I know, but business is business.
Profits before people.
When he wasn't making the front page as Taylor's hysterical husband, he was topping the tabloids with his rumored romance with Briahnna. And exactly 1 year after Taylor's disappearance, Briahnna made an official announcement about the relationship.
No.
It wasn't long until an official application for the presumption of death was filed for Taylor.
Oh, that's when you can get a death certificate and there is no body, but it's most likely the person's dead.
It takes about a year for the document to be processed, but just 2 weeks later, Briahnna took to Instagram to show off a big fancy diamond on her ring finger.
Oh my god, you guys, guess who got engaged? This is a long time coming, and I am so excited to marry my soulmate. Love you, Lancey Poo.
No.
Yep. And their wedding was set for just 5 months later.
I guess it must have been a pretty big event with Lance's bass money and Brianna's piranha fame. Two big fish coming together.
They claimed they wanted a low-profile wedding, but they gave exclusive rights to Chatelaine magazine and were the 2017 April edition of their wedding cover.
How glamorous.
Yes, but the glamour didn't last very long. This story doesn't contain just 1 death, but 2.
You mean 3.
Are you including Taylor's dad's death?
I mean, I could also count the 6-year-old who died from a piranha attack. Could have been the same piranhas for all we know. Or I could count.
Okay, stop. 3 deaths are relevant to this story. Let's not get sidetracked. This story doesn't contain just 2 dead basses, but 3. Tune in next week for the continuation of the lethal legacy of Bass Glass.
These pieces are
Cold open.
the leads are
Cold open.
These cases are
Cold open.
the leads are
Cold open. That brings us to the end of part 1. Next week, find out why we aren't quite done. Subscribe so you don't miss a post. And thank you for listening to our show.
These crimes are
Cold open.
The bodies are
Cold open.
These crimes are
Cold open.
The bodies are
Cold open.
Cold Open is co-created by Madison Max and me, Beth. Starring Madison Max with sound editing by me, Beth. Special thanks to our cool to the bone top tier Patreon supporters: Kailea De, Marshall E, Thomas C, Tara T, Tony L, Rommel F, Gina F, Paulo F, Carolina Doug T, Pam O, Carlo K, Christine and Trevor F, Kathy and Dave A, Bonnie H, Edward L, Evan and Isaac T, Zach K, Ryan S, Campbell V, and Jeff M. Thank you, bye. Freaking time!
I mean, Poop seems pretty out there. They probably are doing it on purpose.
Soon we'll have to have an episode about the mysterious death of a certain barista.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go anywhere near that one. Oh, and right, you ready for round 2?
You betcha.
Let's take another reprise into some other creep's mind. Let's find a brand new reason why no trace of Taylor was left to find.
These trails are
Cold open,
the leads are
cold open,
these trails are
open,
the leads are
cold open. I'm your host, Madison Max, and I'm here to continue through the facts. Last week we followed Taylor's tracks. This week we find how Lance's life lacks.
Taylor's location is
Cold open,
these people are
cold open,
Lance's heart is
cold open,
the basses are
cold open.
I'll admit at the end of the week I get a little testy because it's been a little too long since I hung with my bestie. This week was even harder since this case is a two-parter. Oh, and by the way, this is your co-host, Beth.
Cold open,
This podcast is cold open. These episodes are
cold open,
This podcast is cold open.
Hello and welcome to Cold Open, the true crime podcast where we dive deep into unsolved crimes that deserve more attention. I'm your host, Madison Max.
And I'm your co-host, Beth.
Last week, we scrutinized the scintillating story of Taylor Bass, the young CEO of Bass Glass who disappeared on an Amazon River cruise in 2014. Whether it was a murder, an accident, or a premeditated disappearance 8 years later, we still have few clues. After assessing her chilly cold case, we followed her husband Lance back to Halifax, where he promptly moved in with his former lover, Briahnna, the piranha expert from Toronto.
So if that is all news for you, make sure you go back and listen to part 1 in your feed right now, because there are spoilers ahead. Ready? Got that? Spoilers!
This week we will focus on the second half of that charming couple, Lance Bass. No, not the member from NSYNC, but the next CEO of Bass Glass who promptly met his own demise 3 years after his late wife.
Did you guys see that coming? I sure didn't.
I thought we only heard of Taylor's case because of Lance's.
Yeah, but the audience doesn't need to know that. We're building intrigue.
Right.
Twists on twists.
So technically, Lance's case is currently considered closed. However, it was brought to our attention from a viral TikTok that has the public demanding a second look.
Technology these days. Who would have thought that TikTok would be such an engine of justice?
I mean, haven't you heard of Gabby Petito, Alyssa Turney, the suitcase murderers? TikTokers post their own videos that aid in gathering evidence and push the police to prioritize some difficult cases. I love it.
I love all the theories. Some of our Patreon subscribers found our podcast through my own TikTok account where I post all my superior theories, like the one where I proved that Jack the Ripper was really a police officer abusing his power over poor helpless women.
But this episode isn't about TikTok, it's about 2 cases of deadly domestic disturbance.
Where should we begin? How about how Lance died?
How about some context first?
Boo.
Last week we ended off with another fairy tale wedding for Lance with his second wife, Briahnna, only months after the ink had dried on Taylor's presumed death certificate.
That scoundrel.
I mean, to be fair, maybe he never actually stopped loving Briahnna. I mean, the two were together well before Taylor or Bass Glass.
And she was quite the specimen. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Maybe he always thought she was his soulmate.
Or Taylor.
You know, it makes her that much more tragic.
I mean, does it though? Either she's dead and can't care, or she ran away and probably doesn't give a damn.
I mean, maybe it wouldn't matter to her, but probably to the people who care about her.
Yeah, but who cared about her? Her dad's dead, her mother's in Tibet, and she had no friends.
Beth, show her some respect. Taylor was or is a real person.
Right. And if she is still alive, then maybe she has friends now.
Either way, she's a human being and deserves some sympathy. The point I was trying to make was that Lance and Briahnna seemed to unite quite quickly, so I'd like to believe they married for love.
But what if they didn't?
Well, they're in some context that we haven't covered yet, and that context has an awful lot of zeros.
Anyone could be a murderer. Rule number 4, the larger the fortune, the larger the motive.
And let's say the motive is strong with this one. Anyway, after Taylor was declared dead, all of her assets became Lance's, a whopping 112 million worth.
I don't get it. I mean, I could see why that might be motivation for Lance to kill Taylor, but why would that be motivation to kill Lance?
Well, see, here's the thing. When they got married, they both took out huge life insurance policies.
So was Lance due for a big payout now that Taylor was officially declared dead?
It gets a little bit more complicated. See, Taylor had a trust fund, which Lance didn't have access to until Taylor was declared dead. Unfortunately, there was nothing inside except enough tax owing on it to eat up his entire post-tax payout.
I didn't know trust funds could make you owe money.
And we don't even know how much money was in the trust fund. It could have been empty for some time, or there's a possibility that Taylor planned her own escape and emptied it right before the honeymoon.
Could no one ask the accountant?
Unfortunately, no. See, he passed away in a house fire that also happened to destroy all the documents relating to Taylor's fund.
Were there no electronic copies?
Unfortunately, no. See, he was old and a stickler for doing things with pen and paper.
Bizarre. When did the house burn down?
Oh, when Lance and Taylor were honeymooning in the Amazon.
My mouth is on the floor.
The fire department ruled it as a cause to faulty wiring. I mean, the poor man lived alone, was basically deaf, so he could have just slept right through the fire alarm.
What if there was no fire alarm? Man, this case just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Okay, let's go back to Briahnna and talk about reasons why she might want to marry and then possibly murder Lance.
I mean, I see why she would want to marry this smart, handsome, rich man, but why murder him?
I mean, maybe there wasn't as much money in the estate and all the assets would have needed to be liquidated, so maybe Lance wasn't as rich as she'd hoped.
I see it, Maddie Fatty. Not satisfied with a life better than most of us can even dream of, she murdered her boy toy for his life insurance money. He went from buying flowers to pushing daisies.
That's right. Only 6 months after their wedding, Lance was involved in a fatal single vehicle accident.
Did he drive off a cliff, flip into a ditch, hit an inanimate object, and then not wear his seatbelt, and then go flying out the window?
He did hit a pole and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
I knew it.
Of course you did, Beth. We talked about this beforehand.
Yeah, but the audience doesn't need to know that.
Okay, make sure you edit this bit out, okay?
Okay, on it.
So, on the date that Lance passes away, it also happens to be the anniversary of Taylor's disappearance. According to Briahnna, Lance was incredibly inebriated and insisted on visiting Taylor's cenotaph. She wanted him to move on and didn't want him going to the grave in either of 2 ways, so she hid his keys.
If he needed to go to the grave in the literal way, then why didn't he just call an Uber?
Unfortunately for Halifax, they didn't get Uber until December 3rd, 2020.
They must have a taxi mafia like Vancouver. So then why not a taxi? Or a limo? Go to the grave in style, come on.
I mean, maybe Briahnna took away his phone. He was found with no personal belongings on him.
So then why didn't he just use his home phone?
What century do you live in? Who has a home phone?
Rich people.
That doesn't make sense. I don't know, maybe he left his phone and wallet behind because he wanted to disconnect from the world for a few hours.
You should always carry your license when you're driving. It's illegal not to.
He was drunk, remember?
Alright, then you really don't want your license because then there's no denying who you are.
You shouldn't be driving drunk, period, which is why the legal ramifications aren't relevant here. There is one piece of information that is important into understanding his case. Before her disappearance, Taylor gifted Lance with a cherry red 1500 Ram Ego Diesel.
A ram, eh? I didn't think he was the kind of guy who needed to compensate.
I mean, trucks are useful.
So are my thumbs.
Okay. The police received reports of his truck being driven recklessly with smoke billowing from the hood, and there is dash cam footage that confirms this.
Ah, witnesses. A good murderess knows how to use witnesses to her advantage.
Do you know what a problem was with the Ram 1500 eco-diesels from 2014 to 2019?
Are they commonly owned by murderers who need the bed space to haul around dead bodies?
Not that I know of, but they were manufactured with a defective EGR cooler that's prone to thermal fatigue. This means that after some time, the coolant would leak straight into the hot engine.
Cool. So for the coldies out there who don't speak car, is that a bad thing? Like, I don't know, if you're dripping into the cool engine, is that just how cars
It
work?
means it was prone to catching fire, which is exactly what happened while Lance was driving recklessly from his fancy home in Point Pleasant to Fairview Lawn Cemetery.
It caught fire?
We'll be right back after these messages.
My mom said, eat your greens. And I said, Mom, you're mean. But now I know what you mean. There's a new light now I've seen. 'Cause through this service, I've lost some service. 2, 3, 4. More than a meal kit.
Veggie ball!
I never felt more fit.
Veggie ball!
The link in our description.
Veggie ball!
To get your new subscription, you need
Veggie ball!
I love you, Mom. Thanks to Veggie Bomb, I look so good in my new caramel panties. They're on fire. So that's burned to death.
Well, hopefully he perished in the crash prior to being engulfed in flames, but the authorities were unable to determine the exact cause of death.
He must have looked pretty gnarly. Marinated in a fine bourbon, smoked like my uncle's salmon, and burnt like my grandmother's roast.
I mean, at least no one else was hurt. It's a miracle that he hit the pole before another car or person. His blood alcohol content was a whopping 0.25%.
Holy mackerel. So, case closed then? He was driving drunk, he hit a pole at highway speeds, and even if he survived that, his truck caught on fire.
I mean, that's how the case was left for 4 years until someone uploaded old footage on TikTok of themselves on a trip to Halifax, and you'll never guess who was in the background.
No.
Yes.
No.
I already said yes. Lance and Briahnna.
No.
At Travelbay859 posted a TikTok of her and a friend visiting the art gallery of Nova Scotia. It just so happened that a true crime fanatic recognized the famous couple in the background.
And as any true internet sleuth would, I scoured the site with the most excellent, hard-to-find true facts, which is, of course, Reddit. And I found incomparable sleuth.
Let's listen to your interview.
Can I get you to state your name and what you do?
Yo, 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 I go by the handle Sleuth on all the major platforms, and I'm real big on the true crime scene.
Wow, that was perfect. Okay, let's start with the basics. How long have you been into true crime?
Since the day I was born. No, seriously, I got into it in like 2004. Yeah, I used to scour the newspapers. Now I search for interesting clues on interesting cases using the internet. Yeah, I've even helped the cops crack a few.
Wow, that's kind of hot. Can you tell us which ones?
No can do. Top secret, baby.
So how did you hear about the Bass case?
First of all, I'm a mod on the r/unsolved mysteries subreddit, so I definitely keep on top of any posts with a disappearance flare. One of my good sleuthing buds sent me a tip on Discord about a TikTok that might be relevant to Taylor's case. I remember hearing about her case a few years back, how she went missing in the Amazon. I hope she didn't get eaten by the piranhas. Anyways, yeah, I wasn't sure at first how relevant the video was until I looked in the background and saw Taylor's husband and the Briahnna lady.
Oh, how did you know it was them?
Well, there was a red truck. And I know when zoomed in and grainy, it's hard to tell people's faces, but that's one of my special skills. Yeah, I'm 90% sure it was Lance and 80% sure it was Briahnna. I zoomed in even more, trying to read their lips, trying to get a sense of what was going on.
Wow, so skillful. I'd like to know what else you could do with lips. I mean, what did you find?
He seemed pretty distressed. Yeah, it looked like he even had a tear in his eye, or maybe it was just the sun's reflection. It even looked like he was saying sorry as he got shoved into the driver's seat. At this point, the woman glanced over her shoulder, making sure nobody was getting the wrong idea. The wrong idea might be the right idea, if you know what I mean.
The wrong idea might be the right idea. Wow, so deep. Like deep.
So I forwarded it to my body language expert buddies, and the general consensus was she was definitely acting agitated towards him, and he never defends himself. The clincher was the look on her face as he started driving away, smug like, it even looked like she was saying, "Go to hell."
Very insightful, but this altercation does not necessarily immediately precede Lance's death, right?
Wrong. Yeah, I actually got a hold of the original poster of the TikTok and got the official date and time, and it was from 12 minutes from the official TOD that the police had reported. Apparently, this was the first and only time she got a retweet from Justin Bieber, so I'm sure this was burned into her memory.
Wow, a retweet from the Biebs? That's pretty big. Thank you so much for your time today, Spoosly. Maybe we could do it again sometime.
My pleasure. For everyone listening, thank you for listening. You can find me on all the good parts of the internet and some of the bad ones too. Sloo, out!
Okay. So, not even 15 minutes before Lance's accident, allegedly Briahnna can be seen putting Lance into the driver's seat of his truck.
Yes, that's what the internet has decided.
She didn't even buckle him in, the bitch.
I mean, some people think she got him drunk on purpose and forced him to drive. Other people think she took advantage of the situation and knowingly sent him to his death. In any case, this new evidence doesn't work well with Brianna's side of the story.
So does that mean the police have reopened this case?
Unfortunately, no. When I contacted the local police, they said they could not comment on whether or not this acts as evidence in reopening the case.
Too much crime and not enough time. So what does Briahnna have to say about all of this?
Why don't we let her tell us herself? Hello, Briahnna. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's nice to finally share my side of the story. The media has a funny way of framing things, and accuracy doesn't seem to be their forte.
I mean, I can only imagine how much harassment you've been getting lately.
Oh, it's been nonstop. I've had to change my number, set all my profiles to private, which is just unfair for the piranhas. I mean, social media is the main way to raise awareness. I've had to hire security, and I can't even go to the grocery store in peace.
I mean, I know the internet has been increasingly obsessed with you in the last couple months, and I can only imagine that any podcast, blogger, and magazine wants to talk to you. I guess I'm wondering why you chose our audience to be the one that hears your voice.
I'm actually a huge fan of the show and a total Colby. When I saw your email, I remembered that interview that you did with Adnan Syed.
Oh yeah, that was for our 100th episode, the one full of cases that aren't technically cold and open, but should be. And in case this is your first foray into the world of true crime, Adnan Syed was convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend, Heyman Lee. And that case was the topic of the first season of Serial.
Although truthfully, I wasn't convinced of his innocence after listening to Serial. I thought you did a much better job of getting straightforward answers, and I have to say, you helped me see the case in a new light.
Well, I must say it is a pleasure to have another true crime fan with us on the show today.
As a guest.
Anyway, so Briahnna, tell us a little bit about what your life has been like since your husband passed away. May he rest in peace.
It hasn't been easy Lance was the love of my life, and it was an instant connection from the moment that we met at the orientation at Western. Losing him has been devastating, and while I like to think of myself as a tough woman, I'm not sure a day goes by that I don't cry.
That's so sad. I mean, I can't imagine my life without my cat. I can only imagine that the recent press coverage has just added to your pain.
It has. When I think what I've gone through these last months, it would have totally broken me if I was the same person I was after he passed. Time has helped, as well as therapy. In fact, I used that promo code to get 10% off my first month subscription to that therapy app.
Oh, I should have played that ad instead.
I know you've done some work to continue Lance's legacy. Can you tell us a little bit about the Cabral wing?
Yes, well, as you know, his maiden name was Cabral. Maiden name. Well, I thought it was more fitting than Bass. So, when I was at Western, the windows of the business building were horribly vandalized. And I thought, given more time, Lance would want to give back to the school that helped bring him so much success. So, I donated new windows, and part of the building was renamed the Lance Cabral Memorial Wing.
Wow, that's really sweet. And something that you mentioned, which I know our audience is going to want to know more about, is after spending so much time in university, what happened between graduating and the moment you two finally got together?
Well, you know how these things go. Lance graduated a year before I did, and he was so brilliant and had so many opportunities in front of him, and well, I didn't want to be the one to hold him back, so I broke things off, thinking that when the time was right, we'd get back together again. Sometimes you just have to let things go in order to realize how important they are to you. Unfortunately for me, my life changed a little too drastically once we were apart. We stayed in touch, even after he married that woman. As devastating as her disappearance was, it's what brought us back together, and once that happened, it was clear that we were always meant to be.
Wow, it's like the plot of a movie. I don't know what the genre would be.
That's how life goes. Sometimes it's a rom-com and sometimes it's a tragedy.
And sometimes it's a
Oh,
horror.
well said. And speaking of Taylor, we'd love to know a little bit more about the relationship the two of you had.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you went to the same school, you were in the same classes, and some have even said your friends were quite good friends, actually.
That was years ago. We simply drifted apart.
So you didn't have some sort of falling out?
Definitely not. It was just time and distance.
I spy a theme.
Excuse me?
We're just curious about the relationship you had with Taylor. I mean, you were in the same class, you married the same man, and that's quite the coincidence. Can you tell us a little bit more about Taylor growing up?
Look, I'm not trying to be evasive. It's just, it wasn't possible to fully be Taylor's friend. Her parents set a path for her in stone, and there was not a lot of deviating from it. Not that she tried. There was always a lot of emphasis on trying to please her father, though I'm not sure if she ever succeeded. There just wasn't space for a real friendship. Although, that does remind me of something she told me one night. I know I should be grateful for the fortune I was born with. Another rich girl asks for more. There's plenty you can't buy on Fifth. But you see, my world is made of glass, manufactured and see-through. No one cares about how the be too extreme. To exist, I need to succeed. When you're thought of as exceptional, is there anything else to be? Their praise is only provisional. We'll never know the real me. And love me unconditionally. If you don't know who you are, then how can you even start to doubt where they set the bar? Maybe it's better to play the part. When you're thought of as exceptional, is there anything else to be? Just tell yourself to accept it all. Somewhere there is a version of me who can find herself exceptional while keeping everyone else pleased. Find a way that's agreeable, be the person everyone sees, and love me unconditionally.
Thank you for that. We've spent all this time trying to understand Taylor as a person, and that is something you just can't research.
Well, that's who she was at 17. Like I said, Lance and I didn't really talk about her, so I don't know if things actually changed.
Do you have any theories on what happened to Taylor?
Taylor was a smart woman, and I like to think that she found a way to escape the crushing fist of her life. I know it sounds convenient for me, but I think she was also trying to give Lance a way out.
Interesting. Okay, let's go back to Lance and talk about the things that led up to his accident.
Look, I've had years of therapy trying to figure out what I could have done to change things that night, and every therapist ends up telling me that depression works in ways that you can't always understand. While he seemed happy with me most of the time, there must have been demons that even I couldn't uncover.
Are you saying you think he knew exactly what he was doing when he got into his truck that night?
I'm saying I don't know, and at this point, it doesn't change anything knowing what the reason was or if there even was a reason.
Well, what prompted you to hide his keys? I mean, had he ever driven drunk before?
Not in my experience, but he kept going on and on about visiting Taylor's grave, and well, I had plans to go out that night, so I could stay and look after him. Hiding the keys was more of a preventative measure, but I've never been very good at hiding things.
What about the TikTok footage?
That.
Yeah, that.
Wasn't me?
Wasn't you?
Wasn't me.
Do you have any idea of who it could have been?
I don't know, a friend, a coworker, someone trying to rob him. How should I know? I wasn't there.
So where exactly were you?
It was Monday night, and I always had dinner with a girlfriend at Jungle Jim's on rotating Mondays. Look, if I could go back in time and change things, I would have stayed home that night and made sure that he didn't go out, but you just can't predict these things.
Well, do you have any plans on finding the person who was in the footage and prosecuting them?
If the police think it's something worth investigating, then I'm all for it, but it's not something I would personally look into.
Why not?
I just want peace in my life. Dredging up the past is not going to bring him back.
Okay, one more question. How much money did you receive from Lance's estate? Unfortunately, that was the end of our interview with Briahnna. Her lawyer sent us this statement.
Lance Bass's death has long been resolved as accidental. The numerous unfounded and seriously defamatory accusations against my client have only added to her grief and may constitute slander. Please be advised any publications of false and misleading claims against my client will lead to appropriate legal steps, including seeking relief in court of law for monetary damages.
Classic guilty vibes.
We know our cold open fans want the truth from us, and we will do what we can to get to the bottom of it without misrepresenting any of the people we cover on the show.
Yeah, so guilty people's lawyers can suck it.
Beth, we're not saying she's guilty, remember?
Right. Allegedly guilty people's lawyers can suck it. What kind of innocent person needs a lawyer when they're not even being accused of anything?
Oh, lots! Did you know that up to 10% of convictions in the US are wrong?
Shoot, sorry, Mads.
Okay, make sure you edit out this whole bit, okay?
Okay, I'll definitely remember to do that.
Okay, Coldies, we know you want the truth from us, so we did some of our own investigating to corroborate Brianna's side of the story. Beth flew to Halifax to follow Brianna's steps on the night of Lance's accident to see if it all added up. And Beth, what did you find?
Let's listen to the footage that I took that night.
Hello, this is Beth on the road. Tonight my plan is to see how long it takes to go from the Bath House to the Jungle Gym near Bayers Lake to Hollis Street where the TikTok was filmed. The idea is that if I can prove she could have been at both Jungle Gyms at 6:30 p.m. and the location of the TikTok when it was filmed at 7:43 p.m., then it eliminates her alibi. Okay, here we go. It is 6:10 p.m. and I am getting into the car right in front of Brianna and Lance's old house near Point Pleasant Park. I'll make sure to post a map in our show notes. It's beautiful here, but the streets are so quiet. Too quiet. Alright, it's 6:27 p.m. and I have just arrived at Jungle Gyms. I have never been to a Jungle Gyms before, and I have to say, the decor in here is exotic. It's so cold and snowy outside, but in here, it's like an Amazonian haven. Brianna will have a reservation with her friend at 6:30. She said they come here because of Martini Monday, and to make my timeline more realistic, I have made a reservation and I will order 2 martinis and 2 entrees. It's 6:42 p.m. Let's review what I've ordered. Playing the role of Brianna, I have ordered swamp water, a rounded exotic elixir, and the Jungle Crunch chicken sandwich. For my imaginary girlfriend, I ordered the Congo sling and the Bahava Baba stir fry. They have a dessert called chili cheesecake, which is cheesecake wrapped in a tortilla and then deep fried, and I need it. Hey, it's Beth again. I just wanted to update you to let you know that both drinks are so good, and my dinners have just arrived. Also, it's 6:57 p.m. and I am very impressed with the service here. Beth here. I don't know why there is such a stigma against eating alone at restaurants. It's actually been kind of lovely, and the staff is so nice. Also, I'm so full. It was too much food. It's 7:29 p.m. right now, and I am just waiting for the bill. I think that already means I won't be able to make it back in time, but I will give it my best shot. Okay, just rounding the corner here. And this is it. This is the exact spot from the TikTok. It's 7:56 p.m. I missed it by 12 minutes.
Just 12 minutes? You don't think there was any way you could have cut down on time?
You know, I've been thinking about that. Like, what if her friend covered the bill so she could step out early? Or maybe they were able to resist the chimney cheesecake. Nah. In the end, it was only a 15-minute drive to get from the restaurant to Hollis Street. Is that long enough for a long bathroom break? Oh, speaking of which, I didn't take any bathroom breaks, so that didn't add to my time.
I mean, it's impossible to say what we conclude from this. 12 minutes isn't enough time to say it was impossible and there are too many variables to account for.
You know, and she wouldn't have had time to stay and chat with her bestie.
Also, our experiment assumes that Brianna knew Lance was going to be on Hollis Street at that time.
Do you think there's any merit to the idea that he did it to himself?
I mean, I think it's just as likely he did it to himself as much as it's possible it was an accident.
And what about the friend? Do you think we can trust that she's telling the truth that they actually went that night?
I mean, if anyone can be a murderer, anyone can definitely be a liar. We did reach out to the friend for an interview, but she declined, and we respected her wishes not to use her name.
That's nice of us.
All right, time for another ad break.
Remix, get my panties part 2. Yeah, what?
There were a few last things that I needed to say before little Maxie Max had to get in my way. Things on my panties was more than cool with my rhymes. Now here we are going around for a second time. Do you like my panties?
Get my panties!
Do you need my panties?
Get my panties!
These ain't your mama's panties.
Get my panties!
So what you gonna do?
Get my panties!
If you're like me, then quality is king.
King.
The fabric on your bum is only second to
Bling.
Pick from cotton or silk, add lace to the waistband, and lastly your initials are
one, Jay?
Yeah, the one that went to high school with Taylor, and told us all about her sad social life.
Well, it turns out he also went to Western with Briahnna and Lance. Let's see what he has to say about their relationship.
Give me all of the deets. I need to know every single detail of Brent's and nope, that's their couple name I gave to them. Briahnna and Lance at uni.
Keep talking, I just...
Okay.
Work on my cardio.
You not like playing? Maybe
No.
that's another pyramid scheme thing.
Just edit this part out.
You were telling us all about Briahnna and Lance at uni.
Yes, OMG, they were quite the item and not in a good way. Yeah, I don't know how they did so well. Grades-wise, because they did not do any studying.
Oh, what kind of shenanigans did they get up to?
Well, they threw a lot of parties and they were like notorious for throwing people into garbage bins. Yeah, there was rumor that they locked some kid in a basement over a long weekend. Poor kid was stuck there until the janitor finally went to go check him out. Nobody ever said who did it, but we all know it was them. Nobody else would have the balls.
Wow, that's really awful.
Yeah, you're telling me the kid never came back to school. Yeah, we never heard from him again.
With
Well, yeah, not only that, but around the time that Lance and Taylor got together, all the windows of the business school actually got smashed. Nobody said who it was, but I always thought it was Briahnna.
Why would that be especially triggering for her?
Well, Briahnna and Taylor had a bit of a falling out in high school over a boy.
Oh.
spill the deets. I need all of the details.
Okay, so I had this buddy. We'll just call him D so nobody goes and bothers him, yeah?
Oh, yes, of course, absolutely, yeah.
Great, so D had the absolute biggest crush on Taylor. Yeah, he would write her songs, write her poems. He even got a job so that he can get her little gifts. He had this crazy idea of like getting to know her best friend so that he can get closer to Taylor.
Ah, Briahnna being the best friend.
That's right. Unfortunately for him, this backfired.
How did it backfire?
Well, the May of grade 12, when everybody's thinking about who they're going to take to grad, he gets a surprise of his life when Bree confesses her love for him. He says he's not interested. She goes in to kiss him. He says he's in love with Taylor. She storms off, and later on we find out that his locker was smashed, and then she never talks to Taylor after that, from best friends to nothing.
Over a guy?
I guess Briahnna was hot stuff and had never been rejected before, so she aimed all of her spite at Taylor.
I mean, that's just speculation.
True, but imagine how you'd feel if your ex-bestie got it on with your ex-lover.
I have a question.
Shoot.
So it's true that Lance and Briahnna were inseparable.
Inseparable, yes, but not exclusive, at least not on his part.
Wait, what? Lance was a slimy poop?
Let's just say she wasn't the only girl I ever saw doing the walk of shame. Yeah, my room was 2 doors down from him, so I saw and heard everything. He always told us guys not to say anything around her because she was sensitive. At least that's how he put it.
Wow. So, according to Jay, Briahnna hasn't been as honest with us as she proclaimed, which is evident in his story of their falling out in high school, which Briahnna claims never happened. He also shed a different light on Briahnna and Lance's characters, seeming having no issues putting their peers' lives in danger.
That story about the kid getting locked in the basement was so sad. I remember reading about it at the time. I kept the clipping.
Yes, it is sad, but we do need to remember that who did it is just speculation. No one was ever fined, and we don't know if any characters related to the story did anything.
But if they did,
Well, then we would have psychological profiles that could lead to willful, premeditated murder.
and what is the deal with Jay? Do you think we can trust anything he says?
Honestly, I don't think we can trust that any one person is telling the complete objective truth. Motive, who has the best motive? Who would want you their best day? Who stands to take the most bread? The only thing
Is my body a cave-in snack? Or is it possible I was snatched? Did I make the wrong enemy? Or am I somewhere living unconditionally?
Motive. Does Lance have motive? Is he wise right played? Or why she could be so dead? Motive. We need a motive. When he causes his own death and crashes automotive. Tell me, should we think the worst of Lance or give him more of a chance?
Was I just a scapegoat? Wrongly blamed for a misplaced boat? Was I haunted by my late wife's ghost? And did that guilt drive me off the road?
Motive. Why does no one have motive or have any cares to give? Did anyone want them to live? We just need a motive. Oh my God, Maddie, look at this.
What? Have you been on Instagram this entire time?
Not the whole time. But look, it's a photo of Briahnna in Peru around the time that Taylor disappeared.
Wait, how did you find that?
I follow Piranha Guide on Instagram, and they just got tagged in a TBT of a piranha expedition in September of 2014. And you can see Briahnna in the back smiling.
Are you insinuating?
What if she did both?
Well, that's ridiculous. You just don't like her.
That's true. But today my horoscope said you can see what everyone else is missing. Of course, that's just your way of looking at things differently and getting to the murkier aspects of the situation. Like Amazon River. I see what you don't.
You're going to get a suit with your wild accusations. I mean, okay, it is interesting, but easily explained. I mean, of course she'd go on an expedition with that group, but don't you think they would have noticed if she went missing? I mean, surely someone would have made the connection.
I guess so. I guess anyone could have done it, not just you-know-who, but who do you think did it?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. But I would like to know what you, the audience, think. Feel free to send a message to our P.O. box.
Did Taylor run away, suffer a tragic accident, or find herself murdered? Did Lance suffer from mental health issues that caused his accident, or was he put into his car that day by Briahnna or someone else? Were there even crimes committed in either of these cases, or could this have all been constructed by a singer-songwriter who really wanted a song about true crime on her next album?
All I know is that each week we will continue to give stories like this that hope someday we will find answers.
Yeah, and we can always listen to this episode on repeat.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cold Open.